Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. There is no denying there are a lot of things going on in America right now, heck, just today, that really don't look very much like America, or at least the best version of ourselves that we like to celebrate. Young foreign students and others being grabbed off the street by masked police in state-sanctioned abductions. Performative cruelty and twisted photo ops by top government officials. Criminals pardoned of the crimes if they support the current leader. And these bizarre spectacles of subservience in the Oval Office. Donald Trump's bet is that acting like a dictator is half the battle to becoming one. At a press conference to swear in his personal lawyer as the U.S. Attorney for New Jersey, which, by the way, would be an enormous scandal in any other time and place, Trump said that he pardoned a convicted fraudster because, quote, he was one of the first people that supported a gentleman named Donald Trump for president. Then he celebrated those black bag style snatching and disappearing of immigrants and foreign students while attacking the federal judges who have stood in the way.
We're getting rid of a lot of bad people. They're being taken out. And we hope this court system that's become so active all of a sudden in trying to protect some very, very bad people of crime, they have to stop.
I'm sorry. Is people of crime what we're calling it now? I can't keep up. Donald Trump's goal is to replace American democracy with a Donald Trump dictatorship. Right now, he's playing the part, down to the choreography of reporter questions in that Oval Office today. I mean, since 1914, right, the journalists who cover the president and ask him questions have been chosen by an independent White House Correspondents Association. And last month, Trump decided to overrule them for the first time in over a century and just handpick his press corps. And he started purging reputable reporting outlets like the Associated Press. He banned the AP's reporters in retaliation when they refused his demand that it rename the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America. And as a result, slowly but surely, it is less journalism in there and more of whatever this is.
What has made you and your team so effective in finding, locating, apprehending, and deporting these violent, illegal migrants?
I love this guy. I wish more people would ask questions like that.
Everyone's laughing and having a good time. That reporter was from the far-right cable channel One America News. Then this was the next question.
Mr. President, I wanted to say, first of all, happy Women's Month. You do so much for women by, first of all, keeping men out of women's sports, and you platform so many...
That was an easy one. That was crazy.
You platform so many great women, like your Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles. You also have Caroline Levitt doing a great job as press secretary. Now Alina will be joining as well. Since Democrats seem to struggle answering this question, I wanted to ask you, what is a woman, and why is it important that we understand the difference between men and women?
Well, it's sort of easy to answer for me because a woman is somebody that can have a baby under certain circumstances.
Good answer, I guess. That question came from a representative of the far-right Tim Pool podcast. And if you've heard of him, it may be because he was recently identified as a pro-Trump influencer who received hundreds of thousands of dollars from Russian state media to parrot Kremlin talking points. Now in the Oval Office. There you have it. The Associated Press is banned from the White House. Those guys are in the Oval Office with that cringy obsequiousness. You know, Peter Baker, who's a New York Times White House correspondent, wrote last month, having served as a Moscow correspondent in the early days of Putin's reign, this reminds me of how the Kremlin took over its own press pool and made sure that only compliant journalists were given access. I mean, Trump clearly wants what Putin has in Russia. A press corps of grovelers who will pump up the strongman in a kind of one-party safe space where Trump can call people scum and enemies. And again, this is just one small part of just a comprehensive day in, day out assault on fundamentally an open society and a free people. What we cherish most, what makes us who we are. An assault on the institutions and practices that make America America, the kind of place where, for instance, a university can host a lecture on humanitarian action by the former president of Doctors Without Borders and not have to cancel it because it might be too anti-Trump. And yet, that did happen in this country this week at NYU. The speaker says her lecture was canceled because the university administration feared her talk would be perceived as anti-government in the United States of America. Or the kind of country where, say, a student can co-author a measured, fact-based op-ed critical of a U.S. ally and not have the mass secret police snatch her off the street into detention, accused of ties to terror groups, and shipped away to another state in violation of a direct court order. A place where law firms can defend whatever client they want to in cases where they sue the government without fear of being crushed by the government. A country where dinner with the president isn't just sold to the highest bidder and the state isn't just used as a valuable tool to reward loyalists and punish perceived enemies. That is all fundamentally un-American. If there is an organizing principle of MAGA governance, is that they do not like anything they cannot control. And that is the opposite of a free society. To them, you will obey or you will be hunted. And every day there's a new example, as they just try to remake everything that is part of a free society, not under their control, down to museums and zoos. Yes, zoos. Do you catch this one? That was in the utterly insane executive order Trump signed yesterday, directing Vice President J.D. Vance to crack down on the Smithsonian Institution by removing improper ideology from its museums, education and research centers, and the zoo. J.D. Vance is now going to patrol the zoo for improper ideology. Congratulations, Commissar. You've got the zoo portfolio. Yeah, it's absurd and it's un-American. And I don't think most people like this. In fact, if you look at the polling and you look at the protests right now and you look at the town halls, Americans are waking up to that. They don't like it. That's why a Democrat took a state Senate seat this week in a Pennsylvania district that had been Republican held since 1979 in Lancaster, the heart of Amish country. And it is why Republicans are right now worried about a special election in the deep red Florida congressional district once held by Trump National Security Advisor Michael Waltz that he won by 30 points in the last election. And it is why Trump just pulled his nomination of Congresswoman Elise Stefanik to be UN ambassador, because he is worried about losing a special election in a district where she won last year by 24 points. So he needs her in Congress. All of this means we still do right now live in a free society. We still do live in a democracy where gravity, political gravity exists. Elections can still blunt Donald Trump's attempts at dictatorship. And the question before us each and every day is whether enough people understand the stakes here to mobilize in time to stop him.